Hello and welcome back. So we can now move on to question 3a. Now I'd recommend you answer it in kind of order in the exam. This is just to teach you the skill involved. But we now have the ability to write out scales. And this question is kind of an extension of that, but without all the kind of legroom or the kind of need to write out the entire scale. We only have to write out one note of the scale. But knowing the scale inside out is a more useful skill for a starting block, and then we just have to work out what on earth these words before the note names are. So first things first, I don't have it for this question, so again I'm going to write out, you guessed it, the circle of fifths. Say it with me. Fat cats go down and eat bacon. And then we go down and eat bacon. And just to make that crystal clear, I'm gonna draw a line down to the bottom and then a line across. There we go. So that is my circle of fifths. I'm gonna need it. But there's something else I'm gonna need for this question. And unfortunately, I used to have a mnemonic to remember this. I came up with one on my own and it worked really well. And then I learned them inside out. And so I forgot the mnemonic I used to remember it. So we might come up with one. So we will be asked in this question for the something of a certain key. So it's essentially asking us for the number of the scale. So for example, this one, as a spoiler, is the fifth of the scale of G. So let's work out this. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, that's all we need. And so what the question could be is, for the example, for this one, would be something like, give the fifth note of the G major scale. And that'd be nice and easy, but it's the same thing because this is just a shorthand name instead of saying the fifth note of the scale. Just saying the dominant of G has the same meaning. So we can use kind of, I want to say an acronym, but I don't have an acronym. So here is a little shorthand for it at the very least. Tonic, Supertonic, Mediant, Subdominant, Dominant, Submediant, leading note or leading tone. For leading note. And I recommend you write this out as soon as you get into the exam, as soon as you get to this question, because it's going to be useful to kind of check against. So we have to memorize this. So tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, leading note. So I'll just kind of introduce you to it bit by bit. So the tonic is the starting note. So in G, the tonic's going to be G. In D, the tonic's going to be D. In C, the tonic's going to be C. In F, the tonic's going to be F. It's going to be whatever note the scale starts on. So that is kind of the most important one. The second most important one is the dominant. You may have remember if you've been in any of the lectures and you've heard me rambling on about the most important rule in music theory, and that is that 5 leads to 1. I also say that dominant leads to tonic, and that's because 5 leading to 1 is our perfect cadence, and that's kind of what all the resolution in kind of in 18th century classical music is based around, and that's why it's so important to the way we look at music theory. So tonic and dominant. In between those, we have our mediant. So that is the midway point between tonic and dominant. So 1, 3, and 5. And then we will have all these ones in between those. We have our supertonic, our subdominant, our submediant. So all the S's come in between on the 2, the 4, and the 6. So the next logical one to look at would be the leading note. So that is the note that leads up to the tonic. So if you had the tonic back here with A, so if you had C major, for example, in fact, I'm going to write out the scale of C major just for clarity. So the leading note wants to go to C. It's only a semitone below. And if you sang out the scale, you know, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. I'm not actually going to sing it, but you got to the end of it, you'd want to resolve up to the C, and it kind of leads into it. So leading note leads back to the tonic, so that's easy to remember. And then you have the supertonic. Well, if you have the tonic down here, then the supertonic is only one above it. So tonic, supertonic, and that's 2. So in the key of C major, the supertonic of C would be D. Mediant's halfway in between. And then subdominant. Well, if you had the dominant, then the subdominant is just one below it. If you also know that from the way we look at harmony, the subdominant region, we have the 4 chord, or in the key of C major, that'd be the F chord, leads to 1, and that's our subdominant resolution, the plagal cadence. So 4 is quite an easy one to remember with subdominant. And then submediant. So this is the hardest one to remember. I've never found a good method to just memorize, kind of get a feel for why it's called the submediant. I guess it's because if the mediant is a third above C, then the submediant is a third below. So for example, if you had a C major, the relative minor is A, so it's the submediant. But I just remember that 6 is the weird one, so submediant. So let's have a look at how we can memorize this order. That's just a general feel for each one does. Dominant wants to lead to 1. Supertonic is just 1 above C. Leading note wants to go up to the tonic. Subdominant kind of wants to go to C, but also wants to go up to the F. So let's have a look at memorizing this order. Tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, leading note. And I think that when I was quite young when I made my original mnemonic, and I think I made the mistake of thinking tonic was a type of alcohol, which is ironic because I now work in a gin distillery and I know otherwise. But tonic, I always used to have I think it was a story about how I went to a pub and I ordered a tonic, and then my mate ordered a supertonic. Like, he couldn't go for like a medium kind of mediant drink. He always has to go and try to make me look subdominant and him look dominant. Well, frankly, I think it makes him look submediant, which leads me to the point of this story. And I think the story went something like that. He goes, I ordered a tonic, my mate ordered a supertonic. He's trying to make me feel... he couldn't go for something in the middle. He's making me feel subdominant and him dominant. I think he's actually... his choice is actually sub below pars, kind of submediant, which leads me to the point of the story. So it's tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, leading note, tonic. And that order, if you just write out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, leading note, that will be enough for this exam to get you through. And from here, it's really easy. So there's dominant of G. Let's write out our scale underneath. So we're going to go G. Actually, let's work out what sharps and flats we have. We'll go once round clockwise. So that is going to be G. So that's going to have an F sharp in it. So we're going to go G, A, B, C, D. Because dominant, if we look here, dominant 5, so I'm going to put 5th G, which only means we have to go to the 5th note of the scale. So G, A, B, C, D, don't even need any of the sharps in there. We know that this note is going to be D. Let's have a look at the next one. Subdominant. So let's have a look here. We go subdominant 4. So we're looking for the 4th of the D scale. So let's have a look. We want to go to the subdominant. We're going to have 2 sharps in it. So we're going to have, let's write out the scale, D, E, F sharp, G. Hey, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all we need. So the subdominant of D is G. Just need to write that on. There we go. Tonic of C. Here's an easy one. Tonic 1. So what's the first note of the C major scale? That was easy enough. It's the note C. The submediant of F. So F has once around the circle counterclockwise. It's going to have 1 flat in it. So we are going to go, and submediant is the 6th. So F, G, A, 1 flat, so it's B flat, C, D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, D. So the submediant of F is the note D. And that's why it's really important to know the order in which these come in. If you get your supertonic kind of round the wrong place and it asks for the supertonic, so you give the, I don't know, you get these two, the submediant and the supertonic mixed up, then your answer is going to be wrong. So you need to make sure that you get this order, which is why I've spent so much time kind of explaining it, because memorizing it is the secret to this kind of question. Because if you're asked for, let's just make up one more. You're asked for the if you're asked for the mediant of C, then you've got to know that the mediant means the third. So mediant of C, if you go C, D, E, it's going to be the note E, as it is underneath. So it's really important to memorize this order. Tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, leading note, which leads back to the tonic. And you can come up with an acronym for that. You can come up with a little story, kind of mnemonic device. It doesn't matter how you get it in. It's just really important that you know, if I say submediant, I'm talking about the 6th note. If I say supertonic, I'm talking about the 2nd note. And that's all this question is. The reason I did this one second was because you need the ability to write out the scale. And the only extra skill you need for this one is this here. This kind of order, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, leading note. Get it memorized. It's the only way to get through this question. If you don't know what this means, if you kind of get into the exam paper and you go dominant, I don't know, I'm just going to write something random, chances are you're going to get it wrong. Make sure you use the correct order. So nothing else to add to that. It's basically writing out a scale, but you only need to write out one note of the scale. The hard bit is knowing what note. So let's leave it there, and I'll see you in the next video.